On top of inflation and worries about a recession, a new report from Bankrate.com shows more Americans are carrying a monthly balance on their credit cards than they were last year. And with that comes interest rates near 20% or higher. Ted Rossman is here to break down these findings for us. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning.
Well, to you, Ted, what are the key takeaways from this report on credit card debt and credit card usage?
Unfortunately, there's triple trouble for people with credit card debt. We have record high interest rates, about 19.9% on credit cards right now. We have more debt. The New York Fed says that credit card balances are up 15% year over year. And then, as you mentioned, more people are carrying debt. So right now it's 46% of credit card holders. Last year it was 39%. Credit card rates are so high that we really want to prioritize this debt payoff, even above other financial products.
And so do we think that carrying the credit card debt from month to month, could that mean just people are using it for regular expenses, bill pay, and just to kind of make ends meet?
That's right. It's very practical stuff. Credit card debt is one of these things that's easy to get into and hard to get out of, unfortunately. But I think there's a myth that if you have credit card debt, it was because you overdid it on vacation or with a shopping spree. It's really the opposite. It's really everyday stuff. It's emergency expenses like an unexpected medical bill or home repair or car repair, or it's just day-to-day living. And I feel like that's been especially prevalent this past year with high inflation, making it harder to stretch that paycheck.
So with the interest rates, kind of explain to us, and I know folks will get dinged with interest rates. Sometimes maybe they don't realize they're carrying a balance, but how do interest rates work with credit cards? You have to pay it off in full every month to not get charged interest, right? Minimum payments aren't going to cut it.
That's right. The minimum payment math is pretty brutal. If you have the average credit card balance, around $5,500 according to TransUnion, if you only make minimum payments at 20%, you'll be in debt for 17 years and you'll pay $7,500 in interest. So it's so important to pay way more than the minimum. Pay it all if you can. People say credit cards are like power tools. They could be really useful or they could be dangerous. That big fork in the road is whether or not you carry a balance. Because if you pay in full and there's no interest, yeah, you get cash back, you get airline miles, life is great. If you're in the other half paying 20% interest, that's a tough one.
Yeah. How big of a deal is credit card debt, Ted, when it comes to our credit scores? The three major credit unions determining how we can get loans, how big of loans we can get. How big of a deal is credit card debt to the credit scores?
Your payment history is the top factor, making up 35% of your score. The second biggest category is how much you owe. And a big part of that is credit card debt, especially credit utilization, credit you're using divided by credit available to you. So you definitely want to pay down this debt. Even if you're paying in full, maybe make an extra mid-month payment because this ratio is normally calculated on the statement date. So try to knock that balance down before the statement even comes out, or maybe ask for a higher credit limit. That could help you as well.
That's a really good strategy. Talk about balance transfer cards, because another part of this report said, over 40% of Americans are not aware of balance transfer cards and how they work. I am one of those. Explain to me balance transfer cards.
This is my top tip for getting out of credit card debt. Basically, you take your existing high-cost credit card debt from one or more cards, and you transfer it over to a newly opened card with a 0% balance transfer promotion. Basically, it's a marketing incentive. The company wants to bring in your business. Cynically, they're banking on a lot of people not paying it off within the allotted time, and then the interest rate goes way up. But I actually think these can be an amazing deal if you're disciplined about it. I would say don't add new purchases, just divide what you owe by the number of months in that 0% term. You could potentially avoid interest for up to 21 months. You just have to be careful to pay it back before the clock runs out.
Yeah, keep it. Reminder on your phone, whatever it takes. Know when that 0% promotion expires. That's great advice. Another thing before we go here, Ted, balance transfer cards were a big part of your advice. Some other just really important advice you have for someone who's maybe even just thinking about opening up a credit card right now, maybe a young person.
That big fork in the road is whether or not you carry debt. So if you have credit card debt, no shame, a lot of people do, forget about rewards for now. Really put that interest rate first. So besides a balance transfer, you could also consider a low-rate personal loan as a form of debt consolidation. Those rates go as low as about 7% if you have good credit. Consider nonprofit credit counseling too. Reputable agencies like Money Management International can negotiate a debt management plan, maybe something like a 6% rate over 4 or 5 years. That's especially beneficial if you have a lower credit score, or if you just need some more help, or if you owe a lot, maybe especially if you're owing more than $5,000.
This is great. Ted Rossman with Bankrate.com. Thank you so much for your time and this really valuable advice. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
An impressive paleontological discovery is made by a young girl. After the break, we're hearing from a 9-year-old who found a megalodon shark's tooth. You may remember this story. This is a follow-up. You know, it's a few million years older than her. We'll be back.